Across America, millions of people are in long lines to decide the future leader of the free world. They're also deciding who controls Congress, who fills out the judiciary, and state and local officials who represent us at all levels of government. It is a big day. Thank you so much for joining us for our Decision 2024 coverage as it continues.
We are glad to have you along. Election administrators from coast to coast are anticipating record participation in this year's experiment in democracy. That includes here in Lubbock, where nearly 15,000 people have voted today. More are waiting in lines to pick a path forward for several important issues here in our area.
And of course, you still have time to get out there. If you haven't cast your ballot yet, the polls are supposed to close at 7 o'clock, but as long as you are in line by then, you are guaranteed a vote. The polls will remain open as long as it takes tonight. If you can't drive yourself there, City Bus is offering free services all day, including on demand through its GoPass app. You can also see that there are discounts for Uber and Lyft available.
Throughout early voting, we saw long lines of patient voters. We're expecting even more before that 7 o'clock deadline.
We're told some locations are looking at a 30-minute wait right now. KCBD News Channel 11's Imani Jackson joins us from a polling site in South Lubbock with what she's hearing from voters. Imani?
Case and Christy, we're currently standing outside of Calvary Baptist Church, one of several voting poll locations. Voters have been coming in and out since 7 a.m. Now, you may notice there's no line right now, and it's getting a little bit cold, so we definitely recommend that you guys come out and vote now before those lines start to build up. Although early voting did end last Friday, 99,000 voters came out for early voting, according to early elections. And then also 200,000 voted to register this year as well. Now, we're currently hearing that people are coming back and forth, about 10 to 15 minutes it takes to get in and out. With that 99,000 voters marking the highest turnout in over 20 years. With nearly 200 registered to vote in the county, a strong turnout is expected as well this year.
Okay, you can't gripe if you don't vote, so you better get out here and get voting. I came to vote today. I was going to do the early voting, but because of my work, I didn't have a chance, so I decided I'll just go ahead and get early and get my vote in.
Remember, if you are coming out to vote today, that you do need a photo ID to cast your ballot. We're also being told votes will be calling about 7 p.m., but if you're already in line, there's no worries. You can still cast your ballot until you're out of that line. We spoke with other voters earlier this morning, and they also tell us why they're coming out today to vote and get their voice out.
All right, and we'll hear from them later this evening. Thank you, Imani. Many winners tonight were determined months ago, and those are the uncontested ballots, races on your ballot, I should say. Mostly candidates who ran unopposed or won their party primaries in March.
Remember, the bottom of your ballot is where you'll find the decisions that affect you every single day, like roads. Voters in the city of Lubbock will decide whether the city invests $103 million into street maintenance. Many of the areas under construction are close to schools in the growing sections of South and West Lubbock. The proposition also includes changes to Broadway downtown. A Citizens Advisory Committee indicates this will gradually raise property taxes over the next 7 years.
Voters in northeast Lubbock County will decide who represents them on the Commissioner's Court for the next 4 years. It's a rematch from 4 years ago. Gilbert Flores is the incumbent. The Democrat has held onto that seat off and on over the past 20 years, and you see him there. Kerry Shaw is the Republican. He lives near Idalo. He's hoping to deliver an all-Republican court for the first time since the 90s.
Voters in Friendship ISD will decide whether the district invests in pay raises and police officers. That includes back pay for teachers. You'll see it broken down into 3 different propositions. This voter-approved tax rate election is essentially shifting some money around to pull more tax revenue. That's why your ballot will show these propositions are a property tax increase.
Roosevelt ISD is also asking its voters to invest in expanding the district. If approved, its $58.5 million bond will go toward an elementary school and secondary campus improvements. The district is hoping the new Leprino Foods plant will lighten the load on homeowners. The superintendent says the average $200,000 home with a homestead exemption would see about a $200 increase on their yearly taxes.
Lubbock State Representative Carl Tepper is facing a challenger for his District 84 seat. Tepper first won election in 2022, and during last year's legislative session, spearheaded several conservative conservative priorities like ending DEI programs in state-funded colleges and universities. His opponent is Noah Lopez, a Democrat who went to South Plains College. He says he wants to better represent working families across the South Plains.
Capitol Hill is also up for grabs. Lubbock's congressman is facing two challengers. Jody Arrington is currently the chairman of the House Budget Committee and has spent the past 8 years advocating for smaller government and fighting the nation's debt. His challengers are a libertarian from Abilene named Bernard Johnson and an independent candidate named Nathan Lewis, who lost to Arrington in 2022.
On the other side of the Hill, U.S. Senator from Texas Ted Cruz is facing a tight race with Democratic Congressman Colin Allred. Cruz first won election in 2012, leading the Tea Party movement. Since then, he's remained a firebrand in the upper chamber, pushing for conservative agendas. Allred represents Dallas in Congress and has criticized Cruz for his stance on several social issues, saying he doesn't represent all of Texas.